Thank you for listening to the Conformed to Christ podcast, where we seek to engage the mind, affect the heart, and call people to follow Christ. I'm Jay Jones, and I'm here with George Mays on a Free-for-All Friday, and I think what is going to be a true Free-for-All Friday.
Yeah.
Whenever we start the day with, what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah.
Then you know it's a Free-for-All Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, you gotta kind of got a list.
I got a list.
You got us
man.
organized over there.
Yeah, I've got a list.
So we'll.
There's plenty of stuff.
There's
not really one big thing, but there's been a lot of things the last week and a half that we can talk about.
Yeah, there's just a lot of little strange things.
Sometimes hard to narrow down exactly what we want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to mark off a few things here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes we have like a theme, or we have like it can be like a focus at least. And but we just have a bunch of different stuff this time. So what do you think? We start with this. We'll start with this.
Let's do it, man.
QAnon.
Yeah.
So I was not aware, but I woke up on November 2nd, George, to see a strange sight. People gathered in Dealey Plaza. Am I saying that right? George or Larry, tell me.
He says it on the video.
Daily Plaza.
I think it's Daily.
The place where JFK was assassinated. And there's a big crowd there. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Is the president like visiting Dallas? Nope. QAnon people were there because they believed JFK Jr. was going to reemerge after like 30 years. Hasn't he been gone like 30 years or something?
Well, this is JFK Jr., right?
Yeah, his plane crashed in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Or so they say, George. Doesn't right?
All right, that's yeah. It's probably been about 30 years. Mm-hmm.
So apparently, there's these QAnon people think JFK has been in hiding this whole time, and he's going to reemerge, surprise everyone, and like run for president and save America. And I'm not joking. That's what they believe.
It's been 22 years. His plane went down in 99.
We did a whole episode on the QAnon craziness. We got to run far, far away from these people. Mm-hmm. And of course, liberals trying so hard to link Christianity to QAnon. Of course they are. But I just got to show this video. This is just one of them, just to give people an idea of this madness.
Really, all you want to do is show a TikTok.
Yeah, it's a TikTok. I do it just for you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to keep bringing them in just for you, George, because I know how much you like them. So let's check this out.
All right.
I'll rewind it.
The story, guessing by now, you've heard the story about the QAnon faithful who believe that today, November 2nd, is the day that John F. Kennedy Jr. Emerges from not being dead, reasserts himself in some way or another, becomes Trump's vice president, somehow making Trump president. Maybe God, I'm not sure, but anyway, it's supposed to happen today. Decided during my lunch break, come take a look. So I'm standing a few feet from where John F. Kennedy was shot in '63 over here in Dealey Plaza. And apparently that's where all these lovely people think that his son John's going to reemerge or reappear from the dead. A little while ago, there was a little bit of excitement when somebody said that they saw somebody who looked like Michael Flynn gazing down from the 6th floor window of the school book depository, but that, wasn't anything to that. And then after that, there was a little bit of commotion over here on the grassy knoll when somebody could have sworn they saw one of the three tramps come back. That was a false alarm. That turned out just to be Steve Bannon. So anyway, it's interesting. I'd go interview one of them, but I'm afraid they may be shedding stupid. So I'm gonna keep a respectful distance.
George. How? That's all I want to know is how. Someone explain this to me.
Yeah.
How do that many people get involved in this and actually take this is a work day, right? Wasn't it a work day?
Yeah.
Yeah. How?
It was Tuesday.
What was the third thing he said? The third one of the three Trumps. What was he trying to say?
The Tramps.
I don't know.
Well, it's part of the the conspiracy who killed John F. Kennedy. Weren't there some like homeless people over by the grassy knoll? It was suspected that maybe they had something to do with it.
Like they were in camo, like they were camouflaged as homeless people.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I just had to bring that in today, just to show.
Yeah,
this is the world we live in now.
I don't even know I don't even know how to analyze something like this. Trying to get into the mindset of people that would believe something like this. I think that the more you open yourself up to conspiracy theories, the more susceptible you are to the more outlandish ones. And there's been so many conspiracy theories where it's almost like we're being conditioned to not believe anything that we see on the news, but to believe kind of these more fringe things. I don't know, it's just bizarre.
It is. It really is. I just had to bring it in.
Yeah.
I don't have anything super insightful to say.
Yeah. What can you say to something like this except don't follow this stuff.
Right.
Don't follow this stuff.
Yeah.
We'll probably put QAnon in the description for this one and get banned from YouTube just for mentioning it.
You know what? I think it's interesting about the human condition that people will believe almost anything if it's said with enough confidence. You know what I mean?
Right.
People they'll just like, I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
These people that start spreading this stuff, like they probably really believe it, I guess, somehow. But they will say it with enough confidence and other people will start to believe it as well. You know what I mean?
See, what happened is the lizard people, they abducted JFK Jr. 20 years ago, and they've been hiding him in their subterranean lair.
As they upgraded him.
But through the power of Trump, he received enough power to break free of their clutches.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jay. But it is a reminder. It's a reminder that we are fallen, and that includes our minds. And so we are easily duped. But Christians are not supposed to be that way. We're supposed to have our minds renewed.
Supposed to be shrewd.
Through the Word of God. We're supposed to be wise.
Not gullible.
Not gullible. Yeah. So we're not supposed to be lumped in with the rest of the world that believes 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. God gives them over to believe. He sends them a strong delusion so that they will believe the deceptive works of the man of lawlessness. Christians aren't supposed to be like that. We're not supposed to be those that are easily deceived, even if someone comes and performs signs and wonders.
We talked about the kind of man of lawlessness before. This makes me see, and I said this to you earlier, it won't even be difficult, I think, for the man of lawlessness to deceive the world when he appears. It's not even going to be difficult. If people will buy into the what did he call him? John? John's coming back. He's rising from the dead, going to reemerge to save America. It ain't going to be hard. It's not even going to be a difficult thing.
Right. All right, let's move on. Let's move on from that.
Should we move from here? Do we move from here to Poopy Pants Biden Gate?
Oh my goodness!
Or do we go from here to Matt Walsh? Or where are we going? You got an outline?
Well, I thought maybe we could look at Todd White. Todd White's made headlines.
Okay.
With a sermon that he preached. I don't think it was this past Sunday, but I think it maybe was 2 weeks ago. He preached a sermon from 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21. God made him who knew no sin, Jesus, to be sin so that we might become the righteousness of God in him.
Mm-hmm.
And Todd White has an interesting take on that.
From 2 Corinthians 5:21, if you're listening and curious.
So it was so controversial that I believe he or whoever runs his accounts took it down.
Right. But Justin Peters snagged it and did a whole thing on it.
Yeah, several people have grabbed this thing.
Yeah. So this clip's about 3 minutes, 19 seconds. I guess we'll just play the whole thing so people can hear it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's kind of got John MacArthur giving it's an old clip of John MacArthur, but he gives the actual correct interpretation. Shows why this is insane.
So this is a Reformation Charlotte video, and they have inserted some sound effects.
Yeah.
To just kind of highlight the errors of Todd White. So that's it. When you hear the buzzing, that's not in the original. It's part of Reformation Charlotte's commentary.
And we're using it under the free use deal because we're making comments about it.
Yeah.
So. But that's their video, Reformation Charlotte. We didn't make it.
Yep.
Here it goes. A commercial.
Hey, that's not it. Is that Todd White?
Skip ad. Check this out. This is so crazy, man. I can't. This is the stuff he says it's insane. The stuff he'll say, like Jesus became a Satan worshiper. All kinds of stuff. You'll see.
Oh, you have to hear this, man. Jesus, who knew no sin, became sin.
Hang on. Some people listen. They don't know Todd White. Let's describe Todd White.
How can we
describe? If you're listening, you're a listener. Let's do our best.
He is a cross between a surfer and a hippie.
And a bodybuilder.
Like,
I'm pretty sure he took steroids.
Yeah. So he always preaches in shorts, and he looks like he's getting ready to go to the beach, but he's got his dreadlocks.
He'll wear those, he always has those shoes on that are like gloves for your toes. Have you seen them?
Uh-huh.
What, toe shoes? It's
those
like
are
weird.
creepy.
Those are very weird shoes. He wears those shoes all the time. And he's got, he's got like kind of dreadlocks.
Yeah, he's got his dreadlocks.
He bleached them.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Overly tan. Looks like he's taking HGH the way his cheeks and his jaw are. That's human growth hormone.
Okay.
That's cheating in the athletic world.
Just looking at him, I don't think that he's going for any kind of competition.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best we can describe. He's kind of a surfer, hippie, roid abuser.
Okay.
Here we go.
Paul describes sin, gossip, slander. Imagine Jesus as a gossip. You can't. He didn't do it. He became it. On the tree, he became gossip. On the tree, he became a slanderer. Did he slander? No, he became it. He became insolent. He became haughty. He became boastful. He became an inventor of evil. Jesus became an inventor of evil on that tree. Jesus became child pornography on the tree. Jesus became full of pornography on the tree. Jesus became a thief on the tree. Jesus became addiction on the tree. Jesus became a hater of God on the tree. What does it mean for him to become sin? Jesus became lost on the tree. Jesus became Satan worship on a tree. Are you hearing me? This is really hard to even say, yet it's true. What does it mean that he who knew no sin became sin? Jesus became bestiality on a tree. Jesus became sex trafficking on a tree. Oh my gosh. Jesus became every lustful thought on a tree. It's no joke, it's real. Jesus became child molester on a tree. Jesus became Taliban Christian murderer on a tree. Jesus became sacrificing babies on a tree. Jesus, our Jesus became that on the tree. That's what it means. He who knew no sin became sin.
The greatest gospel verse in the Bible, 2 Corinthians 5:21. He made him who knew no sin sin for us, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. Let me unpack those 15 Greek words. He, God, made Jesus sin. What do you mean he made Jesus sin? Only in one sense. He treated him as if he had committed every sin ever committed by every person who would ever believe, though in fact he committed none of them. Hanging on the cross, he was wholly harmless, undefiled. Hanging on the cross, he was a spotless lamb. He was never for a split second a sinner. He is holy God on the cross. But God is treating him, I'll put it more practically, as if he lived my life. God punished Jesus for my sin, turns right around and treats me as if I lived his life. That's the great doctrine of substitution, and on that doctrine turned the whole Reformation of the church. That is the heart of the gospel. And what you get is complete forgiveness, covered by the righteousness of Jesus Christ. When he looks at the cross, he sees you. When he looks at you, he sees Christ.
John MacArthur's preached better sermon in 2 minutes than I did last Sunday, and I'm retiring.
Yeah. We could just play John MacArthur clips from now on.
It's such a bizarre thing. Remember when Todd White, it looked for like a split second like he was going to repent of all his craziness.
Yeah,
and people were like, "Hang on, just
right.
wait,
just wait a second,
just wait a little bit. Let's see what happens."
Right?
Yeah, and then obviously, yeah. I mean, he doesn't need to be teaching. Obviously, I won't say this guy doesn't have a passion for Jesus, because he obviously does, but he's probably got thrown into teaching, and he never should have.
Yeah,
and now he just can't escape.
Right. Yeah, he just doesn't know what he's talking about. He says it real, like you said. I think of him as the people that Paul might describe as those who have zeal but they lack knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of passion behind what he's saying, but if you're passionately saying something wrong, then your passion is being used in the wrong way.
But people will believe it.
But yeah,
like we said before, because you're
right.
saying it with certainty.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what he's not understanding is the doctrine of imputation.
Yeah.
And you can go back to Leviticus chapter 16, and you can see this in the Day of Atonement,
mm-hmm.
as the priest takes a spotless lamb or a spotless goat. It's a goat without defect. He lays his hands on the goat, and he pronounces over it the sins of the people. And that's imputation.
Mm-hmm.
The goat doesn't suddenly become these sins. This goat hasn't actually acted upon these sins,
mm-hmm.
right? But it's being treated as if the sins have been placed on it as the substitute, as
mm-hmm.
MacArthur said.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens with Jesus. He's still perfectly spotless. He is still innocent of these sins, but God is imputing, he's placing those on Jesus, and then he's punishing those sins on Jesus
mm-hmm.
instead of punishing us.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But Jesus his character, his nature doesn't change.
Right.
He's still the pure one.
Mm-hmm.
But God punishes him as if all these sins were, as if he was guilty of these sins.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like MacArthur said, we're imputed with the righteousness of Christ, and God treats us as if we're clothed in the righteousness of Jesus.
Yeah, this plays into another strange doctrine where some people believe you actually, and interpreting this incorrectly, they would say you actually become sinless.
Yeah,
because of this transaction.
Well, this is
Have you ever heard people say that?
Yeah. And this is also a good segue into, we just celebrated Reformation Day on Sunday, and it reminds us of the difference between the Catholic doctrine and the Protestant doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
So we believe in imputation.
Right.
But the Catholics teach infusion.
Mm-hmm.
So through the death of Christ, God now infuses grace into a believer, and they become righteous.
Right. But the original infusion, which comes with the laying on of hands by the priest at baptism,
Mm-hmm.
you think of it as Christ's righteousness infused into you, but that only gets you to the place where you now are able to attain your own righteousness.
Right.
But you can't go to heaven without you attaining your own righteousness. Right. That's what they believe.
Right.
And so you spend the rest of your life trying to attain righteousness for yourself.
Right.
Which you never can get enough. That's why purgatory comes in. And that's why all the different sacraments that they have, they believe it like ups your level, if I could use a video game term. Like you're upping your level your whole life.
Mm.
And of course you're going to go through your entire life never knowing if you are going to make it or not. So most will say, yeah, no, most people go to purgatory, but then they'll examine some people's lives. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, they were an extraordinarily holy person. And then there'll be an investigation. They'll be like, oh, did you know that they did a miracle? And then they'll be like, they skipped purgatory. They're a saint. Yeah. That's how they come up with these saints, Right. Sainthood, you're sainted, and then you can be prayed to and whatnot. Yeah. It's a very strange thing.
Yeah. Todd White, he's not unique in what he's saying because this is a common word of faith belief. I can't remember if it's Kenneth Copeland or Kenneth Hagin who teach that Jesus basically became demonic on the cross.
Right.
Well, I think Joyce Myers teaches the same thing. I mean, they'll say things like Jesus had to become the first born again man, because on the cross he actually becomes a sinner. He actually becomes those sins that are laid on him. Instead of the doctrine of imputation and substitution, it's more like infusion. Right. Like he's infused with our sinfulness. He becomes this sinful creature, and then through his death and resurrection, he becomes quote unquote born again.
Right.
So Todd White he's just parroting what other people have said already. Mm-hmm. But it's wrong. It's false. It's not a proper understanding of 2 Corinthians chapter 5.
And it does, and this misses some of the personal aspect of it too, because when you're talking about imputation, in the biblical understanding, this is a personal thing, right? And so MacArthur had it right.
Right.
Jesus is treated as if he's me.
Right.
And I think if you read through the rest of the Gospels, you get this understanding that Jesus knows that he's dying for a people, a particular people, and he says that he knows them. I know my own. Yeah. So he knows the people. So like if he takes my place, he's dying for Jay. He is aware of that. How does he know his own? I don't know how this works through the Holy Spirit, but I know he knows he's not just dying for blanket. I'm just dying for blanket sin, blanket guilt in general. He's accomplishing a sacrifice. It's a 1-for-1, but it's more than a 1-for-1 because it's him for all of his people.
Yeah.
But he still is dying for, and it's for all of your sins that you would ever commit. And then you get God treats you righteous as if you are actually perfect, righteous. That's why he doesn't throw you away when you sin. Now, some people would say you're infused with Christ's righteousness, and you actually become sinless, and you can never sin again. You ever met anybody like that?
I haven't.
I've met one person like that in my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't do what my theology professor said, which was to slap him in the face. Because he said, slap him in the face because they're not going to react like a sinless person.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Okay.
But, I've met one. But yeah, no, we are treated as if we're Christ. That's it's incredible because you're going to mess up and God's not going to throw you away. It's because he's treating you as if you're the perfection of his son.
Yeah.
Very assuring. Should be very assuring.
Right.
Doctrine.
Yeah.
So you don't got to go say 100 Hail Marys to get back right with God, and then you can start building your righteousness again, you know?
Yeah. That is good.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have assurance, but the Catholic Church doesn't.
Yeah.
All right, you want to talk about the scandal?
The poopy pants scandal?
Scandalous.
Oh, man. I wish I had a video I could bring up of him sitting there. So this is a for real trend. I know not everybody that listens is up on everything that's going on the internet and that's trending. And this isn't a knock to those listeners that are older. It's probably good. It's probably better. You're probably more healthy mentally than we are. But this is a
without a doubt.
This is a for real, legit viral trend, which apparently emerged out of Rome, out of Italy. This is where the
this isn't a QAnon.
This isn't a QAnon. And I think there's something probably to it. It's just me. So rumor has it, and for things to leak out of the Vatican,
I feel like I think we're really
we're hitting a low point. Well, this passes the common sense test.
Okay.
Apparently, the president, he had an accident at the Vatican. George, it's trending. Yeah, it leaked out of the. Yeah, pun intended. Pun intended.
That's a poor choice of words.
It leaked out of the Vatican that there was a big delay because he had an accident. There had to be like a wardrobe change and all that. It's believable to me.
Is it?
He's 88 years old.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes he's not even there. Like in his mind, it's obvious he's not there. It's believable. I'm not saying that it actually happened because we'll never know. You know, the Vatican is good at keeping their secrets. Obviously, they've been keeping secrets for thousands of years.
You say 88.
Is he 88?
78.
I thought, oh, wow, he's in bad shape, dude. Dude, he's in way worse shape than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he was 88 years old.
88. No, 78.
So my grandma probably listens to this. My grandma's like in her 90s.
I'm so sorry.
And I am confident that if we were to switch my grandma for President Biden, she could do a better job. She's in her 90s.
Okay.
She's more there intellectually.
Yeah.
She's sharp still.
Mm-hmm.
She's sharp. She wouldn't be fumbling over her words like that.
Yeah.
He's in bad shape.
So that was shocking.
I was shocked.
To you,
That's 78? A shock for me, 78.
Really? Okay.
I thought he was in his 80s.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So now the story should be less believable.
All right.
But still, the way he acts makes it believable.
All right. So just to clarify, this is a rumor. But my thought is, how bad does your presidency have to be for people to believe a rumor like this about you?
Dude, this is a worldwide rumor.
Oh, yeah. It's trending.
I bet.
Oh, yeah. Hashtag,
can you imagine?
Hashtag Poopy Pants Biden is trending.
Can you imagine the what's the Emperor of China?
Yeah.
He probably just laughs in the morning. He gets his intelligence report on Biden as he sips his tea. He probably
as they're sending a hypersonic missile around the globe. What's America doing today?
Laughs and laughs and laughs at America weakness.
Yeah. All right, hear me out. Here's my theory, Jay. So this was what, 2 days before Reformation Day?
Yeah.
Joe Biden is Roman Catholic. What if this was his protest? Hear me out. We know the quotes from Martin Luther about what he would do to scare away the devil. What if Joe Biden was
taking it literally,
just taking it to the next level?
Oh man, wouldn't that be something?
We've really hit a low point here, Jay.
Well,
I feel like
since we're talking about conspiracies, can we talk about the Pope as a hologram
Oh my
conspiracy?
goodness! You should have found that video.
I should have found that video.
I was telling people about that at our Wednesday night meeting.
Yeah.
After the service, I was asking them if they'd seen this video of the Pope just disappearing
in the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for the listener, well, we're not showing it. So they got that big window, that St. Peter's Square.
Mm-hmm.
It's massive that thousands of people come to watch him come out the window and talk and do his devotionals, I guess. He does praise, and does his magic and blesses all the people that are there. And then he turns around and walks away, and he just like blinks out of existence.
Yeah. Now, I would encourage people, try to find this video because it's bizarre.
Yeah, it is.
This is not. It's shadowy, and he kind of fades out. He turns around, he takes like 2 steps, and then he blinks out of existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gone.
It's like he's a hologram.
Yeah.
Maybe Joe Biden's a hologram.
They turned off the Pope.
What if Joe Biden's a hologram?
If he's a hologram?
And he glitches a lot. Our technology is not good, so he's glitching.
What if he's an AI robot and they haven't perfected it?
Of course, we're joking. This is all fun and games, but it's incredibly sad.
Yeah.
Just think about, like I said, we're in a bad spot, dude.
Yeah.
We've got the Chinese raising up this mad army with these crazy missiles, and then we've got the first female 4-star who's not actually a female.
Yeah.
A man dressed as a woman. Can you imagine the Chinese intelligence? Like, I'm telling you, they have to be laughing so hard as they are plotting our demise.
Mm-hmm.
They're scheming the destruction of America.
Yeah.
And then we're elevating. That's our goal. Is our goal to stand up the most powerful fighting force that's ever lived. Now we want to elevate everyone. We want equality on all levels. And so it's crazy.
Yep.
We got a president who's so weak that rumors are circulating the world that he has accidents.
Right. Yeah.
Bad.
It's pretty embarrassing, pretty sad. But the reason why we really wanted to bring up the president visiting the Vatican was because we've talked about President Biden's policies, the Democratic policies of the Democratic Party's just full blown baby murder.
Oh yeah, and Biden
Biden's fully on board with this.
And he's been criticized by some of the bishops in America.
Yeah, and not just him, but Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, these prominent Roman Catholics. There have been bishops that have been saying they should be refused the Eucharist, the Mass.
Yeah.
Right. So you would think that would come up in the meeting with the president and the Pope, but apparently abortion was not even mentioned in the meeting, and the Pope told Biden that he should continue receiving the Eucharist.
Right. Yeah. All of the conservative, there's got to be tons of conservative, like old school Catholics at the Vatican. Got to be.
I would think so.
You would think. Biden's in a full-blown promotion of the LGBTQ plus agenda, and he's pro baby murder, and the Pope never brings it up.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like this should shine some light on the office of the Pope. Who does this guy think that he is, that he can just ignore, the greatest massacre of, the last 100 years
of humans ever.
And he just doesn't bring it up, and he gives his approval to someone who's pursuing more, looser regulations on this. If you're a Catholic, if you know someone who's a Catholic, like this should give you pause, and this should open up opportunities for you to have conversations with with Roman Catholics. What do you think about the Pope not caring about this?
Well, this brings up exactly what in the Reformation, what it was all about too, because Luther said that he would not recant, and part of what he said was popes and councils have often contradicted themselves and erred.
Right.
Like he's studying the church history, the Roman Catholic Church history, and as he prepares for all this stuff, and he's seeing this council says this. Well, this one then just says exactly the opposite of what that one says. This pope said this. This pope says no. This is actually what it is.
Right.
And you look at the development of their Mariology, and you can see it in all kinds of things. And this is a living example of it.
Roman Catholic official doctrine is pro-life from conception to natural death.
Right.
So they are against abortion.
Yes.
They're against contraceptives. They're against the death penalty.
Right.
That's the official position. And you've got a pope who has an audience with supposedly the most powerful person in the world.
Did you say they're against the death penalty?
They're against the death
Oh,
penalty.
that's so weird considering how many people they burned alive.
Well, all right, this is modern. This is modern Catholic doctrine, maybe not historically.
Okay.
But again, he's got the audience with the President of the United States, and he doesn't say anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that should give any true Catholic, any true Roman Catholic that actually is striving to be faithful, it should give them pause. They should be thinking something's amiss. You cannot simply sweep this under the rug and say, well, they had more important things to talk about. Like, what's more important to talk about than this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got a Roman Catholic president, and he claims to be a devout Roman Catholic. I mean, the media has gushed over how devout he is as a Roman Catholic. But on this, one of the most important issues of, the outworking of your religion, and you're just not going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's inexcusable.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure it's because he's really a politician. He doesn't want to be accused probably of trying to dictate U.S. policy by telling the president, you can't take communion unless you change your stance on this.
Right.
So,
but he also has shown himself to be on the liberal side.
Oh, yeah.
Also.
So, he has no problem.
So he probably doesn't even, I don't know what his position is on abortion, but I can imagine that he would lean more towards the liberal side.
He'll never say it out loud, though.
Right.
Yeah. What they have a pope who doesn't actually believe the official church doctrine.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so obvious to anyone that's paying attention.
Right.
Which, again, this then proves why the Reformation happened in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a tweet from a Roman Catholic.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. From Matt Walsh. Yeah, it goes right in. It's all starting to fit together now.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Walsh, what do you call him? How did he get his start? A blogger? Was he a blogger?
I know he works for the Daily Wire along with Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Writes a lot. He has his own radio show.
Political commentator.
Uh-huh. But he is
cultural commentator.
Yeah, but he is
conservative.
He's a conservative Roman Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And he's outspoken about being a Catholic, but he's one of those Catholics that thinks that we can be ecumenical and we can all get along, and this tweet goes right along with it. Follow up to Reformation Day.
He's definitely a Vatican II Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a Vatican I Catholic.
Yeah.
So he's technically he'd be a moderate, right? No? A moderate Catholic. He's not old school like Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson's the old school Catholic where he's like, nah, the Mass is in Latin. I don't care what they say. Yeah. Did you know that? Oh, yeah, he's Vatican I.
Really?
Yep. He's like, this is not a thing.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I did not know that.
So Matt Walsh, check this tweet out. The church is fractured into a million pieces. Christians disagree about almost everything. If you dislike the Catholic Church, it seems odd for any Christian to gleefully celebrate Reformation Day. You're celebrating disunity and brokenness, like throwing a divorce party. Should I read the rest?
Oh, yeah.
No matter what branch of Christian you are, the proper attitude towards the Reformation is one of solemnness and sadness. Even if you think it was necessary, it just makes no sense to celebrate the fact that there are 10,000 denominations.
You had to read that last line.
Did you know there 10,000 denominations?
Yeah.
Is it still a sin to lie? 10 Hail Marys, Matt Walsh. 10 Hail Marys.
Yeah. 10,000.
Maybe one for each lie, so 10,000 Hail Marys. There aren't 10,000 denominations, George. I don't even know where this crazy number came from, but and I would say even on those, well, let's say why are we happy about it? Well, here's why we're happy about it and why it's worth celebrating. It would be like discovering that we've been actually worshiping Baal for the past couple hundred years, and God has graciously sent us a prophet and called us out from Baal worship, and now we worship Yahweh, and to hell with Baal,
right,
and his prophets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is I don't know, maybe unintentional. It is a lessening of what the Reformation was actually about.
Right.
We are not saying there are some minor theological differences between the Catholic Church and the Protestants, or that it was because of moral corruption in the Catholic Church and we the Reformers just wanted to get away from that. We're saying that we practice different religions.
Exactly.
We're saying that the Catholic Church is blaspheming the triune God.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just some minor disagreement. We're saying you are following a false God, and you're in the way that you're practicing your religion, you're blaspheming the true God, and we want nothing to do with you.
Right.
And so we rejoice in the fact that God shone light to Martin Luther and others that caused them to separate from the Roman Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. And we've been set free from idolatry.
Right.
And this was a revival.
Yeah.
Yes, we should be sad that there are people that are still ensnared by Catholic doctrine, that are still enslaved to this idolatry. We should be sad over that, but I celebrate the fact that God has set me free. I'm not ensnared by the idolatry that is the Catholic Church.
Right.
So I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to rejoice in what God has done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. After darkness, light, right?
Mm-hmm.
The world was stuck in darkness.
Yeah.
And then light came.
I mean, just the words that he's using, Christians disagree about almost everything.
That's not
true.
No.
And the things that we disagree with the Catholic Church about are primary, like first tier issues. Even if you dislike the Catholic Church, like see how he's playing these word games. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of preference. It's a matter of opinion.
Right.
It's not the difference between true religion and false religion. It's you just don't dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrating disunity and brokenness. The Catholics started it.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that introduced heresy into the true church. They're the ones that caused it.
Well, you have to,
and the Reformation wasn't something new; it was getting back to something old.
Again, but disunity says that there's some type of joining together that we belong together,
right?
And we don't belong together.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not disunity. Yeah. There's just freedom, and there's enslavement.
Right. Like we're not together.
Yeah.
We're not looking for areas of agreement with the Catholic Church so that we can get along.
Yeah, yeah.
No matter what branch of Christian you are, I would say that the Catholic Church are not Christians.
Yeah.
They use the Christian lingo, but they, again, maybe not the right word, infuse they infuse those words with different meaning from what the Scripture teaches.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even if you think it was necessary, of course it was necessary. People go to hell by believing Roman Catholic doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get major things wrong.
Right.
And then his, throwing out 10,000 denominations, which simply isn't true. But if you look at the various denominations, we talked about this, like you can't classify, like here's Southern Baptist and here's Reformed Baptist, and we're two different denominations. Yes, in a sense, we're two different denominations, but we're both Baptists. Like we hold to many of the same things. So to say that there's like this huge disunity and it's just fractured into a million pieces, it's just ridiculous. But if you look at the things that all the Protestant denominations hold in common, at least the conservative ones, the Orthodox ones, we have so much more in agreement than we have in disagreement.
Well,
and the main things we're in agreement with.
Yeah, yeah. Even if there were 10,000 denominations, which there aren't, this is an insane number. All of those who are affirming that you're saved by faith alone in Christ alone, we're in union with them.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter what our disagreements would be over Lord's Supper or baptism or church governance or any of these other doctrines. Anyone who is believing in the Trinity and has biblical Christology and believes in salvation by faith alone in Christ, that person is in union with the other person.
Yeah.
There's not even disunity. So they can disagree on missions and how do we fund missions, and our church is independent of each other, or should they form denominations for missions, and should there be some type of presbytery or not? Should be what type of governance should there be? All of these things don't mean that there's this great fracture like they present.
Right.
Because I can tell you one thing. If the Catholic Church dominated the world again like they did in Europe, it would be all of us versus them.
Right.
That's what it would be.
Yeah.
And then they would see there's actually profound unity.
Right. You're gonna be wielding that battle axe like Zwingli.
Yeah.
Just go out fighting. You mentioned the mission organizations. Did you see the video of Tim Keller saying that having missionaries raise their own funds as a form of white supremacy?
I saw it. We should have brought that in. We could have showed that. And then he started describing like this other way of doing it. And they're like, nobody does that though because it's too hard. I'm like, but that's how the Southern Baptist Convention does it. The Southern Baptist Convention does that, and I'm pretty sure you guys are all saying that they're white supremacist.
Yeah.
But they do the thing that you say is not white supremacist.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy.
It's bizarre.
What a crazy world.
So getting back to the abortion issue, one more article, one more news story that's come out is that
I forgot about this.
Portland.
This one is crazy, dude.
Portland and apparently Pittsburgh have become the first cities in the United States to provide workers bereavement leave for pregnancy loss, including abortion.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
So Portland is now giving paid bereavement leave, 3 days. I think it's 3 days of leave for 3 days of paid leave if they've had a miscarriage, stillbirth, or any other type of pregnancy loss, including abortion, quote, irrespective of whether deemed medically necessary.
Crazy.
Can you make sense of that, Jay? So you can go and get an abortion, and then you can have paid elective abortion.
Right.
I just don't want to keep the baby.
Yeah. Or this baby was a girl and I wanted a boy.
Right.
Which is people do that all the time, by the way.
And you can get three days of paid
off,
bereavement leave.
Bereavement.
overdoing this.
Days of mourning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, obviously
I
it shows.
I can't imagine people abusing that, Jay.
No. Yeah, think about that. Think about this, though. I thought you were just like taking out a tumor.
Mm-hmm.
When people have a tumor removed or a cancer removed, do they get 3 days bereavement? Oh, I got a sunspot removed. Can I have 3 days bereavement?
Right.
No, of course. But just them saying it acknowledges full well they know they're taking a human life.
Yeah. Yeah, they know. They know. Mm-hmm. And this is just an example of the depravity of mankind just collapsing in on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, they will adamantly say this is a parasite. It's not a living person. It's just a clump of cells, and then they'll do ridiculous things like this that undermines all of their arguments.
Yeah, yeah.
And it just reveals that it's like the beach ball. They try to push down the beach ball, but the truth about God and the truth about the world in which they live, it just keeps popping up to the surface. They can't get away from it. But they want to abuse it, so they want to have it both ways. They want to get rid of the baby by saying it's a clump of cells, but having this clump of cells surgically removed has caused such trauma to me that I have to have paid bereavement leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Again, the argument is shifting. People are still using the old dumb argument that it's my body, my choice. You know that argument, my body, my choice. Which I saw somebody made a clever meme, is a woman holding up a newborn child, and it said, "Oh, look, amazing how I gave birth to my own body."
I saw that.
But people are stopping. They try to use that, but they sound really dumb when they do because everyone knows because science is caught up. Mm-hmm. So the argument really has just shifted to we know it's a baby, and we just think we should be able to kill it.
Right.
Which shows you how cold and evil the human race is.
Yeah. And this is Joe Biden's Democratic Party.
Yeah.
That the Pope refused to confront.
Yep.
Certainly not a man of God if you can't confront a ruler over his wickedness.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's for sure. Yep. All right. Well, I think that's about it.
Hey, that was free for all.
Yeah.
We were all over the place today. So hopefully this has been beneficial.
Hopefully so.
Hopefully it wasn't too scattershot. We talked about QAnon. We talked about Todd White and his blasphemous interpretation of 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 21. Go back and read that for yourself. Read the whole chapter and see what Paul's talking about. And then, of course, we talked about the Roman Catholic Church and their stance on abortion.
Our segue into talking about the Pope
Democratic.
Was certainly interesting today, George.
My apologies. All right. Well, again, hopefully this was beneficial for you. We want to come at everything from a biblical worldview, and of course, this is supposed to help you become more and more conformed to Christ.